All right, Darielle, thank you. And all week long, we've had you covered during 27 News with live analysis of the RNC from UW-Madison political science expert Howard Schweber.
Professor Schweber joins us live now again. Thank you so much for being here with us, Professor.
My pleasure.
So we just heard what J.D. Vance said earlier this afternoon during a campaign speech. What are you expecting to hear during his convention speech tonight?
Well, I suppose more of the same. What's striking is that language of the corrupt Biden-Harris regime. That's really going back to the kind of very harsh, vilifying language of 2020, which Trump himself indicated on Sunday he was trying to move away from right now. We've seen this over the last few days. For the first couple of days of the convention, there was a kind of good feelings effort. A lot of talk about unity, a lot of talk about bringing Americans together. It feels as though this Vance in particular is very pugnacious at the best of times. We're moving back to kind of harsh, vindictive rhetoric that we've seen before.
Last night at the convention, Senate candidate Eric Hovde spoke. How could him having a presence on a national stage like the RNC affect his race against Senator Tammy Baldwin?
I doubt it will have a significant effect. I did not think it was a great performance, for one thing. But he will have support from Republican voters, and his Republican voters are likely to catch the clip of him at the RNC. I really don't think the fact of that national stage changes much at all. It does make him somewhat more familiar. His face, at least, may become more familiar to Wisconsin voters, but I doubt it will affect their decision.
All week you've been talking about tone and wondering if the push for more civil rhetoric will hold. So what have you been noticing with that?
Well, there have been a number of themes that have been very, very consistent across multiple speakers. It's been very disciplined for the first 2 days, at least. We are the party of forgotten Americans is one. All division comes from the left and the media, not from us. And a relentlessly positive focus on the wonderful things that will happen when Trump is elected. That started to slip yesterday. And I think today, based on Vance and a couple of speeches last night, we really are seeing that tone shift back to the divisive, angry kind of tone that we've expected all along. And frankly, we've heard something similar coming from the Democrats and from Joe Biden lately. So as this goes on, the tenor of the campaign, it feels like is going to become more and more negative and more nasty.
Tonight's theme, like we just mentioned, is Make America Strong once again. What can people expect to hear from tonight's speakers?
So this is really interesting because the selection of Vance as vice president very much pointed to Trump's connection to the more isolationist wing of the Republican Party. There are plenty of Republican hawks who favor American interventions overseas, but Vance, as far as foreign policy is concerned, stands very, very squarely in the let's keep out of wars camp, which has been one of Trump's themes. Specifically, Vance has very vocally opposed sending any more aid to Ukraine and prolonging that conflict. So I would expect to hear him talk about that and him talk about the need for a strong military that once being strong then stays at home. Two really interesting questions are, will we hear anyone call for the U.S. to actually withdraw from NATO or to otherwise limit our NATO commitments, as Trump has hinted at various times? And Congress has just passed a bill to try and prevent a future President Trump from withdrawing the United States from NATO. So this is a matter very much on people's minds. And the second question is, speakers like Tom Cotton and other hawkish Republicans, will they tailor their message to suit Trump's preferences, which by now are very, very clear, or will they continue to stake out their own independent position and risk making division within the party?
All right, Professor Schweber, we always appreciate having you. Thank you so much for joining us again today.